Hey guys, welcome to another Monday video on the Real DVD Watchers. Not to get too one note, but come on guys! Where are the videos? Kayla, you get a free pass, you're violently ill, that's fine. Everybody else, you're in a doghouse. Anyway, today I'm going to be reviewing both Cape Fear movies. We got the original 1962 and then the 1991 Martin Scorsese film. They both had the same kind of plot and basically about this guy, although actually, yeah, they kind of, well, the original is about a guy who gets out of prison after being in prison for 8 years, and he's kind of basically he's mentally tormenting, as it were, the guy who put him away, the attorney, I guess. And then in the remake, it's about Robert De Niro is the guy who gets out of prison after 14 years, so they stretch out a bit longer, and basically the main guy, his name I can't remember, Nick Nolte, was Robert De Niro's defense attorney, but he buried some sort of thing that would have got Robert De Niro off because Robert De Niro was just raped and beat this girl, and even though Nick Nolte was the defense attorney, he didn't want Robert De Niro to go free. So Robert De Niro's out after 14 years, and he's found out a bit about this, and he's out for blood, or mental torment, as it were. Out of both films, I think I ultimately enjoyed the remake more, which I knew I would. Um, the interesting thing, the original wasn't bad by any means, but there were some things about it that just frustrated me. I just felt like it's 15, right? But I just felt like they didn't quite go far enough with the sort of the mental torment, and there was a nice steady stream of build up until eventually, the end climactic. But I didn't feel like I was really with the characters of the film until the end scene on the boat and stuff, And I kind of, the family dynamic was kind of just a little too perfect, and I know that's how films were back in the 50s and early 60s, and and that's fine. That's get it. I get that's not what they did. Then the family was his perfect wife and his perfect daughter, and they had the perfect life. And then this guy comes in and kind of ruins it, but in a sort of very kind of certain way in which, like, there's nothing he can really do, and the more he tries to do to stop him, he gets himself more in the shitter, as it were. Whereas in the remake, I think the family dynamic was a lot more interesting, and I also like the fact that the girl who, like in the remake, the original, sorry, the bad guy, was he beats up a girl. He kind of picks up this girl and then beats her up, but she won't testify because of what he did to her, and it's just really bad, and she's very scared. But in the remake, they do that same thing, but only it was someone that the Nick Nolte character had been having, not necessarily an affair, but it probably would have led to that. He was like playing squash with her, and they had a connection, and basically Robert De Niro beats up this woman, and I like the fact that was more personal towards the character, even though she didn't have a ton to do in the film. And I like the family dynamic more. It just seemed a bit more real, in terms of his wife, and they had relationship troubles, which wasn't in the original, and they kind of I don't know, they just felt a bit more real to me, and his daughter felt just kind of a bit more normal. And I like the fact that even though it's kind of fucked up, the fact that Robert De Niro kind of got to his daughter, and through her sort of innocence, in a sense she is supposed to be 15, and her kind of sexuality as well, and trying to just basically fuck with them all. And yeah, I think the remake was interesting, although towards the end it got very kind of silly with all burning off the face, and then all that stuff just like, and then they're on the boat and then they jump out, but then he's there, and then and then he beats someone out, and it's just it was like kept going. There was a point where you're like, okay, this is enough. Whereas the original was still good, but that was just like I think I could say more about the remake, which is how I know I kind of like it more. I think I was more invested in the characters in the remake. The remake, which was directed by Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese. Which, if I'm right, and don't quote me on this, but this is the early days of Martin Scorsese, and it feels a lot more like a Hitchcock film than a Martin Scorsese film. It just kind of has this flavour, and even actually, and I know this is kind of strange, but even actually felt like it reminded me of like a Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, but like serious. Just the way it was kind of shot, and those, and those the way the camera kind of whipped across, and it would have those shots of just like very kind of quick cuts and I'm not explaining it very well, but yeah. The original, the guy who played, I think it's Robert Mitchum, he was really good in it. But yeah, I didn't really feel any, even though he was, the everyday guy, I didn't really feel any sort of attachment, as it were, to this main guy. And I was only, like I said, with them right in the last scene, which I thought was very good, all that stuff. I was kind of, if you know me, then you know that I prefer strong female characters. I love Buffy and Alias and stuff like that, and Veronica Mars. But I like in these films, I like 50s films, and not to slag on just they're all like that, but I find the women his wife to be just very kind of like hysterical, which I find kind of annoying. And I'm just like, man up, as it were, well, woman up even. Whereas that wasn't so much the case with the remake, and it was actually the daughter who burned Robert De Niro in the end. So yeah, both good flicks, but the remake, I prefer the remake, even though, I don't think either of them was perfect. And I wouldn't say, I don't know whether the original Cape Fear is considered a classic or not, but for me it wasn't. And mind-blowingly amazing. So that's both Cape Fear movies. Thoughts on them. Hope you enjoyed this review, and come on people, let's get some more, get videos up. I'll see you next Monday.